Hello, everyone. And today, well, we're going to look at something interesting. I know everyone and their mom has basically covered various videos on this topic, but I found a Malcolm video, and I am happy because we get to look at it today. Now, I don't think I'm going to play the whole thing, mainly because it is a 11-minute long video. And I got through about halfway of it on the first take of this, and was like, I can't go on because I got so tired. Also, I'm very tired because this is like 10 in the morning before I have to go to classes and stuff, but I wanted to get a video out because reasons. Anyway, but I don't know how long we're going to do this. We're just going to do it until I feel like it's a good reason to stop, and I'm going to just, like, tear this video to pieces. So, without further ado, let's watch Malcolm lose his mind over the PlayStation Bungie acquisition. It is pronounced acquisition, so...
This is what I'm talking about, man. PlayStation just delivers the greatness, man. They never can stop. We got Bungie now, bruh. Halo is ours. We're getting Halo. We're getting Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, those real Halos, Halo Reach. We're getting those on PlayStation Game Pass. We're getting those.
Nope. Sorry to say, Bungie doesn't own the rights to publish Halo. See, one of the things that a lot of Sony fanboys have said is that we're getting Halo. I mean, it's like, no. Bungie was the developer of Halo, and they lost the contract to the publishing rights, or Microsoft bought the publishing rights for Halo from them at some point. And yeah, that's how it works. A lot of people don't realize that when you work with a publisher, the publisher gets the publishing rights. It's the same with books, where you can write an incredible story, but the publisher owns the rights to distribute your work because you allow them to do that. If that contract, say, expires, they still own those rights for the most part, unless otherwise specifically stated. Like in a clause or something that's saying, if this contract goes, we take the rights to this thing. But Microsoft wouldn't allow that because they were really good. Yeah, they had Bungie as a developer underneath them, but they still had the publishing rights, meaning that you can't buy it or they can't distribute the game or the IP, even though Bungie was developing on it. Plus, also, Bungie hasn't worked on Halo for years. Why do you think they have Destiny only? Like, a multiplayer Destiny. That's it. By the way, an interesting note, it's not PlayStation Game Pass, it is PlayStation Now. Also, again, no, they don't own the publishing rights to Halo. They really only own the rights to Destiny, their one and only IP. Which is not a bad thing. Again, Destiny's not an awful game by any means. It's just that that's the only game that they necessarily own right now. Because, well, again, they were bounced around from publisher to publisher. Just saying.
All you Xbox are stuck with those 3-for-3 crumbs. We're getting the real Halos.
Get your fucking thumb out of the picture, damn it.
But anyways.
Yeah, I just wanted to move past that part as quickly because he immediately just like makes a left turn off into like a ditch somewhere and basically starts talking about someone called Yeet, who is a underground rapper from what he says on some sort of television show, I guess. I don't know. I don't listen to rap a lot, mainly because I just don't. It's not as good. But yeah.
PlayStation X Bungie, man. Wow, this is very good. We're gonna get a ton of games, and I already see Fortanga plays, and all those other guys calling this a bad thing now, while they're celebrating goddamn Microsoft's accusation. They're gonna talk about, oh, this is anti-consumer, but this is a smart move. This is a smart move. Microsoft, good job. You bought Activision. This is a smart move. This is anti-consumer and a monopoly, and this isn't good for gaming. But when PlayStation does it, it's all negative stuff. It's negative. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad.
Not really. No. See, the thing is that he doesn't know his critics at all. The thing with this is that he's like, oh, it's a monopoly. It's like, no. Number one, it's not. It's just Microsoft. They are still third in the overall video game, like, industry per capita. So it's still a thing. But this is not an awful move. Again, I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing. I don't think that anyone would clearly say that this is a bad thing. Originally, when I made this, I'm like, this is a bad move for Sony. It's like, no. I take that back. That's not what I'm saying anymore. No. What I'm saying is that this is a good move because it actually puts them like in a position to make more of those multiplayer first party multiplayer type games. Because if they have, let's say again, Bungie that can make these multiplayer games very effectively and can run the games and can teach like the other Sony stuff and maybe some of the staff to make a new studio or something like that's good. But at the same time, it's not as impressive as, again, dropping nearly $69 billion for like a gigantic publisher studio that even Facebook didn't want. And what's also funny is that recently I found out that Facebook lost a shit ton of money. My God, like 128, 125 something $billion. Like, Jesus Christ, their stock just went down by 27%, which is almost unheard of in some cases, at least in context of everything. But no, you're not getting Halo. This is not a bad move, and this is technically not anti-consumer, technically. And they're and stuff like that. It's like, no, you don't know your critics. You don't know fucking anything about the gaming industry. This is an okay move for Sony. This is a very expected but very nice move for them. Like I said in the last video, the ball was very much in Sony's court, and this definitely is them trying to hit it back. And though they didn't hit it back far, they definitely hit it over the net. So it is still counting.
These guys want to hate. I mean, these guys want to celebrate the Xbox accusation in silence. They don't want to, let you know that they're happy about, exclusivity. They like exclusivity for Tango Plays and all those bums. They like exclusivity. They like when PlayStation players can't play new Call of Duty games. That makes them happy. They're not talking about fanboys. They're talking about PlayStation players in general. They don't want PlayStation to exist. They only want Xbox and Microsoft.
Not really. I mean, again, it's one of those things where it's like you just don't understand your critics. They don't like exclusivity, and in fact, the majority of people don't really care for exclusivity, at least in the context of this. In other contexts of other fields, exclusivity is a good thing. Well, it more or less, well, I shouldn't say it's a good thing in other areas. It's more of a thing to draw in customers. For example, one thing that I have a problem with is the GamerSupps waifu cups. Yes, I am a nerd, and I am an anime nerd. Fuck off. But I like the GamerSupps cups because, well, they just look cool, and they have various interesting colors and stuff. And yeah, it's not like it's any different than anything else that's like, that's GamerSupps related. But whenever I see it, I'm like, God damn it, I gotta buy it again, because it's one of those things where it's like, it's not too expensive. It's like, it's a nice collector's piece and stuff like that. And it's really all that I'm saying is that this is just justification for me spending my money in a very poor manner. But at least the cups have uses to where I can drink out of the cup. I can make my GamerSupps in the cup. And I usually drink about like 16 ounces a day anyway, so one cup will last me about 2 days of just pure energy, and I usually tend to like mix flavors, and it all tastes really good to me. And yeah, I tend to also use codes to try and get more discounts because I like to support the people who invest in this platform and yada yada yada. But again, it's not like I have to get these cups. It's just that I want to get them because they're an exclusive run. They have a limited quantity. For video games, exclusivity isn't as big as it once was, because that limited run, quote unquote, doesn't exist, because gaming is like, it's like NFTs in some cases, where once you have the code, or once you have the image, or whatever the fuck, it can be repeated over and over and over again, and there's no limited quantity. It's only exclusive to one platform, because of the fact that it was a selling point at some point, and it just takes a while for that point to be gone during a market shift, which is a lot of things that these console fanboys don't seem to understand, is that there's a thing in marketing called a market shift, which is currently what's happening in the gaming industry. I'll explain more later, but let's continue.
And that's simply the facts. They trying to hide it all they want. No. We all know your true intentions. We all know you want PlayStation to die for some reason. I don't know why you do. It's just like you have Phil Spencer's, nuts so, deep in your mouth. Like, you just cannot get it out. You guys are embarrassing, man.
I like how he says that we're embarrassing, but yet he, in the very previous video before this, destroyed his room, drank bleach as a joke, completely complained, made an absolute fool of himself, cried on camera, more or less, and basically went on for about 10 to 15 minutes, and also then edited his video in such a poor manner that it is a fucking meme. And yet, we're the ones who are an embarrassment. I don't know, bro. Seems like that's not the case at all. It also seems like you're projecting. Just saying.
But yeah, PlayStation X Bungie, this is very good. Destiny 3 exclusive to PlayStation with an actual decent story. It's going to be great. Everybody, is just going to celebrate. We're going to get a new FPS other than Destiny. Probably something called like a really cool game, that's exploration-based FPS. We're going to get all that stuff. We're going to start getting the FPS games. Man, this is very good.
Can I also just say, welcome to 2012. I mean, Sony has been lacking in the FPS and the multiplayer front for a while. And again, this is a good deal. But you're not going to get Destiny 3 exclusive, unfortunately. I don't even think that Bungie is in talks to make a Destiny 3. At least not yet. If they are, I'm going to be totally floored at that, with that money. But again, to break down what this acquisition actually means, it's just going to be business as usual, because they can't afford to, make their stuff exclusive, at least not at this point. Because that would not only ruin Bungie, that would ruin Sony even further. They have to get all that money. And they've realized, probably through their PC ports, that this studio could definitely help them not only port to the PC, but also make, again, various multi-platform games that they can get a lot of money from, because they realized that they were limiting themselves in terms of market value and in terms of how much money they can wring in from exclusivity and their markets. It's a simple business action. Simple business. I don't understand why people in the fanboy community are like, oh, well, exclusivity is good for it. It's like, yes, exclusivity is good in certain contexts. It was originally good back in the day when games were in the 80s and 90s, because of the fact that they were more physical than they are today. So I would say that exclusivity to a point is a good idea if the thing is a physical product. Kind of. But since video games themselves are not only more digital, but also computer programs and other sorts of stuff, there is a lot, and I repeat, a lot of things in this that aren't good for an audience to grow. Because since you're catering to that one audience and thinking that the other audiences will come, your audience maximum can only go up so high, and as long as you keep up that effectiveness of the actual studios, which is impossible standards to do, even in the best of circumstances. Simple business, everyone. Simple business. But don't talk to me about that, because I only have a marketing minor with a computer applications for marketing degree in the works, so I've only gone to school for this shit.
But yeah, man, PlayStation, you need to buy more acquisitions.
Oh boy, here we go.
You need to buy goddamn Square Enix. That's definitely a must buy. I mean, Square Enix is literally attached to PlayStation at this point. Literally nobody associates Square Enix with Xbox. That's not a thing. Literally FF7, the greatest freaking game of all time, came out on freaking PlayStation. Not my favorite game, but like basically everybody else's favorite game. FF7 came out on PlayStation only.
It's another thing. I really don't like Final Fantasy. Like, as a concept, I'm not, again, let me be clear. I don't really like Final Fantasy, not because it's a bad game, or because it's a bad game in my opinion. It's just because it's a game that doesn't interest me. It's kind of like, because again, I'm an FPS guy, and I do play RPGs and their stuff from time to time. One of the games that I really did get into was the gacha game of Genshin Impact. I still have it on my PC, I just haven't played it in forever. But in all honesty, it's not an awful game. Again, it's just not to my liking. It's not to the greatest. It's not the greatest game of all time that people would say. It's like, no, I think it's an okay game. I just don't actively want to seek it out. I totally agree with that.
Literally. And don't be like, oh, it came out on Xbox like 55 years later.
No. Well, Final Fantasy VII, I don't know when that came out, or something. But again, you're comparing like an older style of game for that. If it was in like an online game that came out a while back, it's like, it's whatever. But again, certain Final Fantasy game, like, they paid to get the game off of like specific platforms. If they're talking about like the Final Fantasy VII remake, originally that came out before the Xbox was a thing, if I'm remembering correctly. Also, to be honest, it's just kind of dumb that you're bringing this up as an example, because they actively paid to keep that game off of other platforms for like 6 months or something like that, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's like, 55 years later, it's like, well, because again, it just wasn't a thing back in the day when it originally released, if I'm remembering my Final Fantasies correctly.
God damn it! Square Enix is associated with PlayStation. That's literally not an argument. Like, they're associated with PlayStation no matter what you think. They're associated. They're connected to PlayStation. So is Konami, and Konami and Square Enix need to be bought. We need a new Silent Hill. We need a new goddamn Final Fantasy to come out exclusively on PlayStation, and we already have that. We got Final Fantasy 16. We need a Silent Hill We need a Silent Hill 2 remake. We need Silent Hill 5. Make it the greatest survival horror game of all time. Next thing you need to buy is goddamn Take-Two Interactive. That's a must buy.
So basically what you need is Square Enix, Konami, and Take-Two Interactive. You're winning the console war generation. I swear to God, you're gonna win.
Okay, so let's break down his business plan right quick. He says all to win the console generation is Square Enix, Take-Two, and one more studio that I have already forgotten. No. Unfortunately. Because here's the thing. While PlayStation itself is in an okay position to buy this for 4 point whatever the fuck billion, they can't really compete on the same level as Microsoft. And if you're trying to compare Sony to Microsoft, it's like comparing apples to oranges. Yes, some people like oranges, but a lot of people like apples. But again, it's the thing is that saying that they just need these three studios when Microsoft has ZeniMax and Bethesda, Bethesda, as well as Activision, some of the top players in the gaming industry. Not only just players with developers underneath them, but publishers that sold them the right to publish the IPs that they own for almost $80,000 collectively, just through 2 acquisitions, okay? Whereas PlayStation only has 1 acquisition of 1 developer with 1 actual IP that they have stated they're keeping their thing business as usual, and that again, if we break down some of the stuff, they've realized that $1.3 billion of those dollars was just to keep people on the team and to keep them in the company or in the development studio. When you break it down like that, Sony is good and doing the acquisition game, but not as good as taking out a sledgehammer and breaking the chessboard in half with it. That's what Microsoft basically did. Sony is still trying to play from an old game. And this is an interesting point of comparison, is that Sony is kind of getting dunked on the same way that they dunked on Nintendo back in the day. with things like the Sega Genesis and things like the other stuff, where Nintendo was riding high and doing all the good stuff, and like they were doing this this old school mindset where they were going into the new generation with everything to lose. But Sony came in with things like the PlayStation and all that other stuff and fucking riveted the market and just shifted it so drastically that Nintendo has been trying to keep up ever since then. And they've managed to do that. And I'm not saying that they're not doing a bad job. But that sort of same mentality is what's going to screw Sony over unless they change, unlike Nintendo. Because they can try to pull a Nintendo, but they're not going to pull a Nintendo because they don't have the same pull that Nintendo currently has. Where Nintendo can kind of keep their same audience and still draw in new people because their games are so easy and casual to pick up. Sony cannot afford that. They cannot do that because then, again, Nintendo, they're big, but they can fail, and they're walking like a very thin line that they walk expertly. But Sony and PlayStation can't do that because they're not as expert at maneuvering that. And they know this. They're not fucking dumb. They know this. They understand the market is shifting more towards bigger and better publishers and more towards multi-platforms. They understand this, and they're looking to just be better at that, and that's what they're doing. They've got the single player games on lock, more or less, and they know how to make them effectively with their workflow. They just need someone to make multiplayer and multi-platform games. Boom, Bungie fills in that gap very nicely.
Because with those three, you're winning. You got GTA 6 exclusive to PlayStation. You got freaking Konami with the Silent Hill remake, Silent Hill 5 game. And then you got Square Enix. That's all you need. It's a wrap for Xbox at that point. Because at that point, all Xbox has is what's it? I think it's called Vaporware. You know, like those, you know how like Wolfenstein is like lost, kind of like you can't really find that game. It's like, shoot, I forgot what it's called, but
Wolfenstein is lost. And yet, again, in the video where he made it, we're calling Game Pass as trash, he not only found Wolfenstein 1, Wolfenstein 2, but he also found Wolfenstein 64, as well as Wolfenstein The New Order, Wolfenstein The New Colossus, which was the sequel to The New Order, as well as the original, like, Wolfenstein, and also then found things like Doom and all that other stuff, all of which was available once the acquisition and shit was made. So, yeah, in all honesty, no, it's not hard to find, and it's not vaporware, as you call it. So, yeah. Also, again, you're saying that that GTA 6, where the fuck did that come from? Doesn't Rockstar make that? Like, I don't think Konami makes that, or any of the other publishers that you named makes that.
those fake games that you Xbox always want to celebrate, like Fable, those games, those are all memories, lost memories that are never ever going to come out. Those are just concepts at that point. Nobody is talking about those games. Starfield, nobody cares. It's literally already gone in the dust. Nobody cares about that stuff, man.
Fable is coming out. They had a trailer for it a while back. They just don't know when it is coming out. They just know it's like, it's a thing that's existing. Please accept this. Yeah. But also Starfield and Call of Duty, which are awesome, interesting games. Yeah, but again, Call of Duty. That's all that we are really gonna have if this deal goes through. So
all those games that you guys always want to hype up, they're all the way in the dust. Nobody cares. Okay, they're not coming out. I'm sorry, they're just not coming out. And if they do, it's gonna be taking them like 20 years to come out, and everybody's gonna forget and not care. Okay, I'm sorry, it's the truth.
This is a PlayStation fan. Say that to all the PlayStation fanboys that were upset that it was exclusive to it. But you know what? Again, I've reached that 5-minute point where I'm looking at the timeline. I'm like, I can't do this. Oh, shit. Yeah, and I'm already looking at my thing, and it's like 20 minutes. You know what? Fuck it. We'll see if we'll see if he does anything more for the next minute or two, and then we'll just call it, because I think that nothing else is going to be said here. But let's continue just for the sake of having fun.
Oh man, this is a very good day. Yeah, PlayStation bought Bungie. They got Yeet and Euphoria. I mean, wow. But yeah, PlayStation X Bungie, this is very good for the community. I already know you Xbox and Griffin Gaming stands and Fertango stands are saying this is bad. And, this down the third. Oh, it's so bad, oh my gosh. It's so bad. You guys are hypocrites. Oh my gosh. Shut up. Why can't you celebrate this, huh? Why can't you celebrate this? Exactly. Like, actually, why can't you celebrate this? Why aren't you celebrating this right now? You guys always want to lick Xbox's nuts 24/7, but when it comes to PlayStation, it's a bad thing. We're so anti-consumer, it's a bad thing. Oh my gosh, we're anti-consumer. Oh my gosh, PlayStation is so bad. PlayStation is so bad. Like, why? Actually explain why. Because I literally don't know any reason why you guys hate PlayStation so much. It's like so weird. It's like just like this hate train of weirdos. Like, bro, calm down.
Okay, fine. Since you are begging the question, and since I'm gonna just smell and eat the bait like the person stand that you call me, everything that you just said is essentially wrong because, number one, you are hypocrites, because where's that same energy for, I don't know, Xbox when they made their purchase of the studio or the publisher before? Where was that same energy of, oh, this is like the greatest thing in the fucking world, you all just don't understand? Where was that when ZeniMax Studios, or where was that? Well, I don't think, is it ZeniMax? I don't think. Where the fuck was it when Microsoft was making purchases? Why is it that Microsoft bad when they do the exact same thing that Sony is doing, but Sony just does it on a smaller scale than what Microsoft does? Because Microsoft has the pocketbook to swing around and smack people in the face with it. Like, it's a lethal weapon. To be fair, though, you are still a hypocrite, and you are still like, and it is still like hypocritical in a lot of ways for that reason. And again, like, where's that same energy, and why aren't we celebrating this? I kind of am just not caring, to be honest. Like, I think that it's cool. I think that it's good that PlayStation realizes that they are in a bad spot and that they are making moves to try to fix their spot as best as they can, but realize that they can't because, well, they don't have the same wallet, but they're looking to make the best possible options at this point. Again, it's a game of chess at this point. Microsoft basically, again, made their move, and it's putting PlayStation in a position that they have to, like, try to make moves more strategically than anything else. And someone else said, oh, well, this was like the strategic thing earlier where the person was like, we're gonna release the trailer. It's like, that's not the strategic move. I'd say that this is more of the strategic move. Like, the Bungie X PlayStation thing is more of a strategic move than dropping one trailer and being like, hey, we're still making the game and it's coming out soon, so hey, trying to build hype. But again, that whole Microsoft acquisition more or less would eclipse that, and not many people were talking about it anyway. But to be honest, well, not many people were talking, let me be clear, not many people were talking about the trailer rather than the actual acquisition. People still would be talking about Horizon Forbidden West. People weren't talking so much about the story trailer that dropped the same day because it was eclipsed by this. But you know what? I said that I would do it, and he's adding nothing of substance, and this video is going already to 30 minutes, so well, the recording is going all the way to 30 minutes, so shit. You know what? I think I'm going to call it here. Nothing more of substance really to add to this video. There's another 4 minutes of it, but I know that nothing in the Malcolm M video is really going to be doing anything. Also, there was an annoying thing where he was hitting his desk, so if you want to go back and rewatch it and then count how many times he hits his desk and maybe do a shot every time, I don't condone that because that's a bad thing and stuff like that, and you might kill yourself with alcohol poisoning. Please don't do that, but just as like for the meme, someone go back and count and just like put it in the comments how many times you think he hit his desk for just this 6 minutes. This isn't even a full video, but for just this amount of time. Fucking put it down in the comments. I want to see. So yeah. Anyway, guys, my name is GamePenguin21, and I don't really know how to end this video. So peace off, I guess.